Right. Everyone knows Toy Story. It was Pixar's first full length 3D animated film. Massively successful, spawned countless sequels and stuff. So there's not really much point in me talking about the film. So I'm going to focus completely on the game. So the game was developed by Telltale Games, who previously had done film adaptations in the form of Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is one of the games that I enjoyed on the Master System when I was younger. But they'd also done a Disney collaboration with Mickey Mania, which is one of my favourite Mega Drive games of all time. It's a platformer where you literally go through different periods of Mickey Mouse's history. But since probably about 2008 ish, Traveller's Tales have just done various Lego games, which I do like Lego games a hell of a lot. Skywalker Saga, just get rid of it, in my opinion. But in my opinion, the best one is Jurassic World. So if you're going to play a Lego game, go for Jurassic World. You'll have the best time you can. Anyway, back to Toy Story. The game was released in 1995 in America, which coincided with the release of the film over there, and it was released in the rest of the world, spread across 1996. The designers used 3D models produced by Pixar to develop the characters within the game, and which they used with 3D rendered graphics, so it stayed loyal to the source material. And it got quite a lot of comparisons at the time with Donkey Kong Country, and I think it lost out to Donkey Kong Country 2 for quite a lot of awards, if I remember correctly. When it was released, over here in particular, it got spectacular reviews, with 92% in computer and video games and 93% in Sega Power. So the question is, does it hold up now, and is it worth playing now? So if you put a search of the game into YouTube, you get loads of videos coming up saying about how it's an impossible game to play and pretty much unbeatable, which doesn't quite tally up with what I remembered from when I was younger. So I thought I'd give it a go and share my thoughts on it now. Unfortunately, I'm not as good as I was when I was younger. I couldn't get past about halfway, even though I've beaten it many times when I was younger. So, to sort out the footage for what I'm about to show you, I did have to use the Game Genie to make myself invincible. So, sorry for that, but at least I'm disclosing it now. But without further ado, let's have a look at the game. So the game starts with your usual start and option screen before throwing you straight in with a few easy levels to get used to the main mechanics. The main moves are A or C to jump, B to whip out Woody's pull string. This is your only weapon and is also used to make your way through some of the platforming in a few levels. So to begin, you've got your usual platform affair with basic platforming. There's a few nice touches in these early levels, like being able to hit Mr. Potato Head's face off when you attack him. But we don't really come up to our first real challenge until level 4 when we get to our first boss. And it's chunky difficulty spike, and it's Woody's Nightmare. This is an almost demon-like Buzz Lightyear with flaming orbs around him that have to be hit out of the way before you get the chance to hit him. You have to hit him a huge amount of times without the orbs before his health point is knocked off him. You've got to do this 4 times, and many a run on this game has ended at this point. The reward for this is a code to skip to this point when you have future playthroughs of the game, and you get them every 4 or 5 levels throughout the whole game. So the next few levels, you stay in Andy's bedroom, but it also introduces a few slightly different game mechanics. The first of which is a top-down driving segment where you have to knock Buzz out of the window, just like in the film, um, before running through the room, racing on to Rex to help Woody escape. The toys at this point suddenly become very aggressive, but it also does make good use of some of the more peripheral characters in the game, so that's a nice little touch. Once you've done all of your escaping, we come to the second boss fight, which is one of my favourite boss fights in the whole game. And you have to use the pull string to whip a tyre onto Buzz while you're fighting under the Pizza Express van. And ultimately, you get the tyres onto him, and it tires him out rather hilariously, but it then stops him charging at you, which is a far nicer way for everything to be. From there, we move on to a set of levels based in Pizza Planet. As you can see, the game sticks very close to the plot of the film throughout. But in Pizza Planet, we have a start of sneaking through the restaurant with Woody disguised as Cup and Buzz disguised in a burger box, where you have to kind of duck out of the way of various things like falling coins, kids running through who could potentially kick you. But then you finally get to the insides of the claw machine. The first level here takes us straight back to platforming, but it's a far more difficult level of platforming in the previous platforming stages, with some of the platforms just moving out of your way at the most inopportune moments, and a few little bits that blow up around you, which can really derail you if you're not expecting them. But going further into the claw machine takes you to one of the best technical levels in the whole game, and you're walking around the innards of the machine with a first-person view to collect aliens to return them to the prize area. The timer can be pretty punishing when you're not sure of the full route, because so many of the bits that are doors look like walls and the walls look like doors, so you kind of get lost in what you're doing. But once you know the full route, it's not hard to kind of work your way around it. But there is a very obvious influence from Wolfenstein 3D here, and it's probably one of the best looking levels in the whole game. And the boss to end our trip to Pizza Planet is the Claw. That was awful. It's another tough one where you've got to stop it from picking up Buzz, and it will pick up Buzz, and then you've got to kind of hit an alien upwards and then hit it again to knock it sideways into the claw, which can be quite a difficult technique to get hold of when you first do it. But also, when you get to the end of the level, just beware it will come back one last time when you've got rid of all of its health. But having escaped Pizza Planet, the next challenge is Sid's room. Visually, it just appears to be a reskin of Andy's room completely, but I found Sid's room to be the toughest part of the whole game, even with the Game Genie on. The first difference you will notice is when you fall off a platform, it results in instant death, whereas in Andy's room, you kind of bounce around and have a chance of getting back onto another platform. This is just far more difficult than that. And first level of Sid's room ends with a fun little sequence of Woody kind of collapsing down because there's a child coming, but he then burns your head with the magnifying glass, and you've got literally just control of left or right for Woody, and until you find yourself with a bowl of cereal to get rid of the burning on your forehead. The second stage in Sid's room is probably the most difficult bit of platforming in the whole game. In one segment of this level, you've got to try and climb really high up with multiple pull string whips going from side to side, and this just completely blew my little mind. It's no lie for me to say that this one segment took me a good half hour on its own, and eventually I had to give up and secure the assistance of my 10-year-old with his faster reflexes because I just could not do it. Once we're out of the way from that, we've got another invented driving level. This time you're behind the remote control car, and it's just very much in the style of Outrun. It's fun, but it's also incredibly easy compared to some of the earlier parts of the game. A bit of traffic would have made it really endgame worthy, but here we are. Then we get to another level of RC negotiating his way around the streets in the same style as the earlier RC level, where you've got to make sure you collect all the batteries to make sure you can get there. But again, it's a very easy end to the game. And then we get to the final level, which is focused on Buzz and Woody falling with style. Despite it being a scrolling level, it's very simple, nothing like the difficulty of the Aladdin flying carpet level. There's only one very big hazard that comes towards the end of the level, which can catch you out if you're not expecting it. So that's basically the end of the game. So is it worth playing today? In my opinion, it's one of the highlights in the catalogue for the Sega Megadrive. It's incredibly easy to learn what to do, but it's difficult to master. It's far more difficult than it was when I was younger. But overall, it's well worth playing, and give it a go, because it's a good fun game. Thanks a lot for listening to me, and I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.